Hey, welcome back to the Zekecast number 2. This is the second episode of my YouTube podcast I'm sharing with you here. My life story, what I'm into, what I'm working on. And I hope you find it interesting, compelling, and if none of those things, at least helpful and inspiring. Today I want to talk about the second phase of my journey, which was after high school, I went to college. And the biggest thing here is I was still deeply involved in ministry. My goals here are never to get people to leave their faith or to leave their religion. In fact, my goal here is to get people to think more critically about what they believe. This could be their religion, this could be their workplace, this could be their relationship. I just know that my experience has led me to a place of choosing awareness has created more opportunity. But the steps leading up to that weren't conducive to choose. I chose to become aware of things even though it went against the grain of the culture I was in. And that's what I want to focus on. The culture you're in is setting a tone and a precedent for what's normal, what's okay, what's fine. So you have to be the one to say, okay, beyond my culture that I'm in right now with my friends and this network of people that I'm around, how can I begin to put my thoughts, my mind, my will, my emotions, my spirituality into the place I want them to be instead of in this box that's being told I need to put it here. So if you're a Christian and it's serving you, please stop watching this video. Don't even do anything else. If you're a Muslim and it's serving you, stop watching this video. Just keep doing your thing. But this video is really for the people who they've been focused on these efforts and it's not serving them anymore. And I want to propose to you that the reason is overinterpretation. Okay, we've talked about the Bible on these videos before. I believe there's a lot of value in the Bible. There's a lot of value in the Quran. There's a lot of value in the Tao Te Ching, in the Ramayana. These all have value. Are they sacred to you? Are they sacred texts? Are you going to live your life based on them? That's a separate question. So A, they have value. B, are you going to live your life based on any of them? But then C, if so, what does that mean? And this is where we get hung up. I think so many of us have lived a life trying to extrapolate every little detail from the Bible into our modern American life, and it doesn't quite work. And we wonder why. We scratch our heads and wonder why our churches are emptying and we're having all these issues. Well, the Bible was never meant to be a playbook. It was not meant to be a playbook. If you really think that it's... Here's what I mean by that. In order for something to be timeless, it has to supersede time. It has to have the ability to go before and after time itself. So for something that lasts throughout all of humanity, something that's timeless, it's going to do that because it goes before and after. When you take the mystery of the Bible and you try to extrapolate really specific, concrete ideals that work for 2023 American politics, you're going to be removing some of the power and you're going to be losing some of the value because you're trying so hard to conform this thing that's supposed to be otherworldly, it's supposed to be holy, it's supposed to be about, hey, bringing heaven on earth. So it should have this different kind of, it should be a very different type of thing, but the problem is it's not. And so we make it more and more intellectualized, we make it more and more about how we're feeling and what's going on and the immediate surroundings. Whereas if we really would just accept it for what it is, which is poetry, guidance, thoughts on living, thoughts on being, how to love your neighbor, how to love the people around you. I don't think you have to read the Bible to realize that this world needs more love. This world needs more of us being positive, us being in our confident, radiant, abundant selves, not more of us judging each other and trying to hold a standard to one another as if we really ever had a chance at being each other's judge. We didn't. We don't. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. So if you're wasting your time judging other people and you're wasting your time condemning other people, you are going to wake up empty and you're going to wake up alone. Now, for some of you, probably many of you, have already experienced that moment of realization just like me. I did wake up feeling alone, empty, and realizing like, what am I chasing here? I'm chasing my tail. I'm chasing this shadow of what I think the New Testament says the church should be, but nobody is actually trying to create the kind of church that they say they want to create. So who is the fool? Me? Or the people who I'm following blindly over and over again, who I'm just giving my money, giving my time? That's the other thing we don't talk about when you leave a church. A lot of us have invested quite a bit in ministries and churches, and when you get to the point of realization that I'm basically your investor, I'm basically supporting you, it is about the person. It's about the person. You don't give money to somebody who you don't like. It's just very rare that happens. So one of the things that I learned when I left the church was I had become so over-invested in this community that wasn't even really my community. I thought it was, because it was like, by virtue of us both having been Christians and been in the same community, I felt like, okay, yeah, we're part of the same thing. Okay, so let me bring this story, let me bring a couple topics up real quick, and we'll be able to get a clearer picture of what I'm trying to say, and then we'll move on. All right, so I just want to speak to anybody who has been in the church and has left. I know a bunch of you in the comments have this is you. So, and many of you probably already have this established, but your identity, who you really are, was source energy and still is. Before you came into this body, you were source energy. You were the raw material of life. Now you're in this physical body. You still are source energy. You are the raw material of life. Now, when you begin to teach yourself something, you create a framework for yourself to live in. And if that framework is by default saying that you're bad, you're going to believe you're bad. You're going to feel that you're bad. You're going to know that you're bad. If your default is that you're abundantly good and you came here to create and connect and empathize and support and be a part of the world, then that's how you're going to feel. But I think most of us don't realize that we're carrying this subconscious paradigm into everything we do. My dating life is like this because of my paradigm. My work is like this because of my paradigm. My home situation is like this because of my paradigm. Now, what I'm not doing is victim blaming. If anybody's been victimized or become a victim, that is not something you should take responsibility for if somebody did it to you. However, when we look at making our life better, it's often ourselves that fix the problems of others. So it doesn't really matter if we can find who to blame. And I got this from Layla Hormozi. She was saying, it doesn't matter whose fault it was, I'm going to be the one to fix it. So if you have an alcoholic parent, that's definitely their fault, but they're definitely not the one who's going to fix it. If you have an abusive parent, that's their fault. That's not your fault they're abusive, but it is your responsibility to fix it. So we have these debts that we kind of have to pay off, but ironically, those are the very things that bring us to our highest self. Us paying off these kind of spiritual and emotional debts that we get under that don't really have anything to do with us ultimately create a power that we have. Once you've been through a certain kind of pain and trauma, you know how to deal with it, you can get through that in spades. It's like it'll never affect you the same way again. So yeah, I just want to say that if you've been in the church, if you felt like you have been taken advantage of, like you've been discarded, like you've been put to the side, you're not alone. There are a lot of people who feel that way, especially who've been in church. And the reason is that was never meant to be the end-all be-all, And what we're looking for is community. And the fact that we think we can find community in church, and we keep going and we hope for it, it just is another sign that says we definitely need community, but we're somehow still not getting it from churches. So if you're not getting it, you don't have friends, you don't have family, find some friends, choose some family, make some people your people, because this is what life is about. And the sooner you can get people who accept you for who you are, who enjoy you, who are willing to sit with you and eat food and drink drinks and talk and hear about your day without judgment, the sooner you're going to be able to feel like, you know what, this life maybe is worth living. This life is worth experiencing, because when I feel seen, I feel valuable. When I feel connected to other people, I feel purposeful. And this is ultimately what these faith systems are trying to promote. And I know they get to it in a really roundabout way. But if you look at all the Abrahamic faiths, if you look at almost all the faiths in the world, they're about creating this connection. Peer-to-peer, me and you, and then us and spirit, us and the divine. So the sooner that the divine channel is open and connected, the sooner this is going to feel open and connected. And I think most of us get too caught up in defining what is the divine. Oh, let me make sure I'm right, because I heard this other person said that it was this thing, so let me make sure I'm right. And then it's like, yeah, I am right. See, here's why I'm right. And it's like, dude, you lost the entire purpose of why you were even doing this thing in the first place. So go back to your connection, go back to your peace, find your highest quality attributes. What are the characteristics that make you beyond a generic average person who is, not that average people suck, but like, what makes you you? What makes you unique? What makes you special? There is something, there is an X factor, and that most likely is the characteristic that when you lean into, you bring the God qualities into the world. You bring peace, you bring order, you bring leadership, you bring value, empathy, connectedness, nurturing, all of these things, responsibility, faithfulness, integrity, kindness, compassion, all these things, when you embody them, they really will bring those elements into your life as well, because you're vibrating on this frequency. I mean, I don't see how people don't understand how everything is connected. You know, if you'll pause your dogma for 1 second, you'll realize that Jesus Christ was never really trying to get people into churches, you know? If Jesus were here today, just like I heard somebody on podcast saying, like, I've heard this from the pulpit my whole life, but he wouldn't be in church. If Jesus were alive today, walking the earth, he would be in the pub. He would be in the bar. He'd be in the brothel. He'd be on, meeting OnlyFans girls. He would be meeting alcoholics, the narcotic addicted people of our time. I hate to break it to you, that's who Jesus was. So for everybody who thinks he's high and mighty and wouldn't have brought himself to a low level here on, in our time, it's like, look at the Bible, look at what he did during the Bible times. He was absolutely ridiculed for the company that he kept. It would be the exact same if it was present day today. So what does that say about you? What does that say about you? If you're following Jesus, nobody ever comments on the company you keep. Nobody ever has any question about like, oh, they're always associating with people who are not. No. It's like, well, didn't Jesus do that? Yeah, okay, well, that's probably why they're doing it. But we don't have this issue, because why? Nobody's really following Jesus. I hate to break it to all you Christians out there who think that, yeah, you're such a Christian and this and that, and I've been having my quiet time for 10 years, whatever. Look, this isn't about me personally attacking you. This is just about us all accepting the reality that the dogma is not needed. We don't need people to accept beliefs artificially. If the Holy Spirit is going to compel somebody to believe in Jesus, he's going to do it. Let him do it. Let it happen. If you're a conduit, cool, make it happen. But stop trying to get people to accept beliefs. Belief comes from hearing. Belief of anything comes from hearing. You have to hear it in order to believe it. That does not mean that because you hear it, you believe it. So it doesn't mean that just because you share the gospel, you tell somebody about Jesus, they're going to convert and whatever. Y'all, we really need to think about our interactions with a little more empathy, with a little more connectedness, because as long as all these Christians keep going off onto their churches on Sundays and not interacting with the rest of the world authentically because they feel like they're not of the world, we're going to continue to have this issue of us being completely separated. But the sooner we can understand the universalness of like, wow, you're an individual, I'm an individual. We both have this amazing ability to create, to be empathetic, to be in love, to create abundance, we need to understand we're more alike than we are separate. And if you're walking through this world with the lens of who's going to hell and who's not going to hell, you're going to constantly be judging people. And you'll never really be able to be free. You'll never be able to enjoy yourself and embrace yourself. So I want to wind it down right there. This has been an absolute rant. I did not expect it to go this long. I didn't expect it to be this disjointed, but if you stuck with me all the way through, I really appreciate you. Please do like this video, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you on the next one.